Hello, everybody, and welcome to another webinar. This is the last in the series of our Getting Started webinars. So over the last several weeks, we've had a Getting Started with Power Apps, Getting Started with Power Automate, and also Power BI as well. So this is the last one, which is Getting Started with Microsoft Teams. Obviously, the only one that doesn't live inside the Power Platform, but obviously a product that a lot of people are using every single day now. So we're going to sort of dive into that product and just hopefully show you some different ways where, if you haven't done already, you can get started by creating some different teams and different channels and using the different features to collaborate with your team members and also to make calls and really use Microsoft Teams as a way of collaborating with the people that either you work physically in an office with, or also connecting with your colleagues or even guest users as well, that maybe customers or suppliers and that type of thing. So we'll make a start. So my name is Brett Lonsdale, and I'm the co-founder of Lightning Tools and also CEO of Lightning Tools. I'm also co-founder of a company called Enlightening, which is a relatively new company. We formed Enlightening this year, and the whole reason for forming Enlightening is to provide coaching around a lot of the different Power Platform products and your Teams and SharePoint as well. And the idea is that if you've got a project in mind that you want to build, as opposed to receiving consulting or going on training courses where not everything will be relevant, we will help coach you towards building your solutions. That's what we do with with Enlightening. So you can go to enlighteningtech.com and see all about what we do there. I'm also the co-host of a pod show called Techsplaining. So that's techsplaining.net if you want to go and check that out. There's a few of us that are all Microsoft MVPs, and we have conversations with Microsoft employees and other MVPs or other community members about the technology around Microsoft 365, and that's on a sort of variety of different topics. And finally, no matter where in the world you are, if you want to join us on the 28th of January, we're actually doing a collab days. So this is intended to be a sort of in-person local event close to where I live, but it's all online, as is most of the different events through 2020 and 2021. In fact, that should be 2021. I've just noticed that. So we're not going to go back in time. 28th of January 2021 is going to be the Collab Days. So you can go to collabdays.org, click on Birmingham, and register for that. There's going to be all sorts of really good content across Azure, the Power Platform, SharePoint, and Teams as well. All right, so what we're talking about today, like I said, we're looking at getting started with Microsoft Teams. So we're going to just, first of all, have a quick overview of Teams, and we're also going to differentiate Teams a little bit from the likes of Microsoft SharePoint, because I know there's some confusion there. We're seeing actually for Collab Days, people submitting sessions for things like comparing Teams with SharePoint and with Yammer as well. What are the differences between those three products? So hopefully we'll sort of demystify that. And you'll sort of understand why you use SharePoint and why you use Teams. And we're then going to generally look at all the sort of communication features of Teams, how we get involved in chats, both one-to-one and one-to-many type chats, how we go about using teams and channels, but also creating teams and channels and the different types of teams and channels that we can create. And then we'll also look at some of the other ways of communicating with people through those channels and bringing them into conversations through things like app mentions and tagging, and also looking at moderation as well within certain channels. So depending on the type of channel that you're creating, especially if you're in the education space, being a moderator might be something that you want to do as, of course, if you're a teacher or professor or something like that. And finally, we're going to look at managing teams. So we'll take a look at some of the different settings and things like that that you have inside of Teams too. And we'll wrap up with a short Q&A. So if you have any questions, there will be an opportunity to ask those at the end. There is a chat window where you can post your questions in the chat window, and we'll read those out and answer them. Or if you prefer, I'll provide my contact details at the end as well, and you'll be able to reach out to me with any questions that you have then. All right, so let's dive in. So first of all, Teams overview. So what we want to really discuss here is, why use Teams, And I think that's something that's become really obvious this year. Seeing the growth figures from Microsoft has been absolutely astounding for Microsoft Teams, as people have been working from home more throughout 2020. But yeah, a lot of us have sort of been forced into using Teams. Our companies have adopted it very, very quickly, and we've just found our feet with it. We've been able to communicate with our team members. We've been able to join meetings or host meetings and so on. But perhaps there's a lot of features that we don't yet know about, and that's the sort of thing that we're going to be exploring today inside this webinar. So really, Teams is a communication tool and also a collaboration tool. But it's focused in on a team, so hence the name of it. So it could be that there's a project that you're working on, or there's a department that you work within, anything like that, and you want to be able to communicate specifically and focus in on that project or on that department. And if you compare that with something like Outlook or any other email platform, of course, you can communicate, you can send emails back and forth, and so on. You can create tasks, and you've got a calendar and all the similar sort of things to what you have inside of Teams, but it's not really specific towards any particular thing. It's not particular or specific to a project or a goal or like I said, a department. It's wide open and available for just anybody to communicate with us, whether it's internal or external. So Teams is very much a communication tool. And of course, communication involves things like sharing files. So there's a files tab. There's the ability to also have meetings. So you can do that. You can make phone calls. You can use instant messaging back and forth and so on. And there's also apps as well that you can add to those teams so that you can do other things that materialize out of that communication, such as creating tasks or planning a project and whatnot. So that's really what Teams is all about. And if we compare that to what you have with SharePoint, it's very, very different. So in SharePoint, we've got something that is also a collaboration tool, hence the confusion. You've also got the ability to store files. You've got different lists and things like that with inside of SharePoint. But really, if you consider SharePoint, it's not that sort of instant communication that goes on. Sure, you've got things like a SharePoint discussion list. So inside that SharePoint discussion list, you may post a question and somebody may respond to you, but it's not instantaneous. And you certainly don't get alerted to the fact that somebody's doing that. So when you look at some of the benefits of SharePoint, you've got obviously a document library, and in there you can put in your files, and it goes way beyond what you have inside of Teams, but it's more related to sort of permanent published content. And an example that I would give is if you had a marketing department, and part of that marketing department, maybe you're coming up with your company brochure, and inside that brochure, you're of course, you need to collaborate in order to create that brochure in the first place. So you may have a team, and the focus is the brochure, which could be a channel inside a team. And over a period of time, through meetings, through drafts, through discussions, we end up with this draft copy brochure. And in the end, we polish it, and then we put it permanently inside the SharePoint site. Now, a few months later, we may need to revise that as our products have been developed further, or maybe there's other things that we want to make available inside the brochure. So, we could keep that team open, keep developing the brochure, and that's when we can start to use some of the document management features around SharePoint for iterating versions and checking in and checking out that document and so on as different people work on it. So the two applications work really well together, and that's why you can actually start off with the SharePoint site and then teamify it. So you can create a team that belongs to that SharePoint site, do all of the collaboration work inside of Teams, and publish your content up to SharePoint. Okay, so we're going to take a look at Teams in just a moment. First of all, we're going to sort of work our way down the left-hand menu inside of Teams, and the first thing that we've got in there is the activity feed. And the activity feed is a fantastic place to go to, especially if you're a member of multiple teams. And I found out from Sandy actually just before we hit start on this webinar that you can actually be a member of 1,000 different teams. And a company like Lightning Tools, you're certainly not going to have that many teams, but there are organizations that have tens of thousands of teams. And of course, you can be a member of a lot of them. And therefore, each team has multiple channels. There's all sorts of chats going on, files being created, people replying to you, people liking your comments, that type of thing. And it's difficult to stay on top of all of that. And that's really what the activity feed is for. The activity feed is there. It goes across all of these different channels, across all these teams, and you can see what's going on and what's been happening whilst you've been away from your machine. So I'm just going to Alt Tab here into Teams, and there's not much going on inside this one for demo purposes, but what you'll see here at the very top, I've got the activity feed. So this is a great place to come. Like I say, there's a few different types of notifications here inside my feed, and what we can do is just jump to the ones that we want to look at. So first of all, you will see anything that you've not read, and I can sort of demonstrate that because I can mark it as unread. There we go. So if there's something that you've not seen yet, if somebody's replied to you or at mentioned you or just created a post inside a channel that you're a member of, then you will see the notification here inside the feed. And of course, we can go in there, read it, jump straight to that and see what it entails. So if there's a lot of things in here that you want to sort of filter by, you can do that. You can click onto the filter icon, and notice here we can have a quick look to see if we've missed any calls. So there aren't any at the moment in there, but that would list any calls. We've got voicemails, so we can go in and check any voicemails there. We could also go in and see sort of any app mentions if there were any, and anything that we've unread and that type of thing. So it's a great way to sort of see all of that content. And there's also the trending. So if there's a good conversation going on, a lot of views, a lot of replies, then it will be trending, and you can jump straight to that content and get involved with what's going on inside your organization. So that's a great little activity feed there. Like I said, if you've been away from your machine for a little while, come in and have a look at the activity feed, and you can catch up with everything that's been going on without having to go in and visit every single team or every single channel to see if by chance somebody may have mentioned you or asked you a question. So that's the activity feed. There's also the Teams chat as the next thing down. So the Teams chat is great for sort of one-to-one chats, or you can have one-to-many chats in there. You can also name your chats as well. So if there's a group of people that you want to communicate with about a particular subject all the time, it perhaps doesn't warrant having its own team or its own channel, then this is something that you can create as a chat that you go to quite frequently. And you'll also be able to use that chat sort of before, during, and post meetings as well. So this is great whilst you're, of course, on a meeting, and if somebody asks you a question, you can say, hey, I'll put it in the chat window. Of course, you could do that, and it will be there for them after the meeting, and really easy to access after the meeting. You can continue that conversation thread as the meeting's finished. So let's just jump back into Teams, and I'll show you some of the things that are going on here in the chat. So as we click onto the chat here, you can see there's a chat called the General Sales Chat. We can click onto that one. That was a named chat, and I can type in my message here. So I'm just going to put in, hey everyone. Okay, so that's gone into everybody who happens to be a member of that, which is, as you can see, Demo User 6 and Demo User 5 at the moment, and we can share files and that type of thing. And then I've got a one-to-one chat going on with Demo User 6 here. So we can just write a quick message out to Demo User 6 and see if we get a reply. So these are the sort of chats that you can create, and if we want to create a new chat, we can basically click onto the new chat icon there, and nice little trick here. This is where you can, of course, add all your people. So if I wanted to chat with Demo User 5 and Demo User 6, we could go through and add all the people that we want to add there. But notice this little drop down, and if we click that drop down, this is where we can actually name that group. So these may be developers or something like that that I want to communicate with. So that's how I can go through and name that. And then down here, we can say, hey, developers. All right. And of course, if I just want to reach out to one of those developers, then I can do that. So using an app mention. So I could app mention Demo User 6. And the good thing about app mentioning somebody is they will receive the notification. They're going to be drawn into this chat. They'll get the banner notification. They'll see that inside their activity, and they're more likely to reply. So whilst we're creating that message, there's all sorts of tools that we've got down here as well inside that chat window. So you'll notice, of course, we can add lots of rich text formatting and create hyperlinks and things like that. And a lot of that goes on anyway. You know, if you copy and paste a hyperlink, it's going to format it as a hyperlink and preview the content behind that hyperlink. So you can do all of that through there. You'll also notice that you've got delivery options in here as well. So we can just do a sort of standard message that is going to be sent, but we can also notify that person that this is important. So that just adds that sort of important label onto the message. That's going to draw their attention to it. Or we can also really annoy them and make it urgent, and then it's going to keep on drawing their attention to it every 2 minutes for 20 minutes. So hopefully they'll get the hint that this is really urgent and I need a response. In here, there we go. We can say I need a cup of tea. That would be urgent, and then we can, you know, add any sort of stickers or anything like that we want to do to this one. So there we go. That's going to really annoy Sandy throughout this webinar. Okay, so that's our sort of urgent post that we can create, and of course, yeah, you can attach files, so they could be things that are already inside your OneDrive, or you can upload a file from your machine if you want to as well. There's the stickers that you've got in here that you can go through and use. I'm sure everybody's familiar with those, and also GIFs. So we've got like a dancing Santa here and what have you. So lots of things that you can do. Oh, thank you. So just go in and like that. There we are. So yeah, we've got a little dancing Santa that we could add. I can schedule a meeting with that person and so on. And just to also show you some things that are really important are things like praise. If that wanted to render okay, I had this problem earlier on. I can praise someone, which is great. So if somebody, you know, gets a good sale in, or if somebody submits something on time or does a good job on something, you can praise them, and that obviously lets all the team members know that, you know, they're being praised and they feel good and all the rest of it. So that's great. And you'll also see other apps in here too. So yeah, there's all sorts of different apps, and if I wanted to send the weather for where I am, I can go through and add that. So in here, well, we could just put the United Kingdom, or we could actually put in the town. There we go. So there we are. We can send the weather forecast. So it's sort of thing that you chat about. You can actually do that virtually using the chat window. Okay, so that's a great way to start a chat, and of course you've got the ability up in the top right to do a video call with those chat members, or even just a straightforward phone call, and you can add other people to there, or leave that chat if you wanted to as well. So if it really starts to get to be too annoying with the urgent messages that you sent, you can just leave. Okay, so yeah, great sort of features there for chat and instant messaging that you have inside the chat pane. So teams, let's have a look at creating teams, which is the next thing on the list. So teams, you may have had teams already created for you that you just go in and use, and you'd be familiar with the different tabs in there, such as the chat tab, and you've got the files tab and the wiki tab and so on. You may or may not have actually gone through and actually created some teams, and that's something that we're going to take a look at right here in the different options that we've got available to us. So really, you can create a team, like I say, around a topic, or around a project, or around a department, whatever feels right for you. And within there, you can have different channels as well, and we'll be looking at that next. But the channels sort of create a more focused view of some of this content. So, you know, if you take, for example, sales, or the sales department may be a team, but within sales, we could have some different channels, which may be, you know, regionalized, or it could be a specific sales campaign or something like that we're talking about, and therefore we really want to focus in on conversations around that particular campaign or that particular region, and therefore we can create it as a channel. So unless it's a private channel, the same people that have access to the team will have access to your channel as well, but the private channel is also something that we can do if you wanted to have a subset of people have access to that, and nobody else other than those members would know that private channel existed. So there's different templates that you can use now, which is a relatively new feature. So you can get going with some templates, as you can see in the screenshot here, and there's different choices as to the type of team that you would create, as far as whether it's a sort of standard team. You could create a public team a private team, a public team, or even an organizational wide team. So the private team is basically a team that you have to be invited to. You can create a team that's public, and then people will see that it's available and they can just join it. Or there's also an organizational wide team. You can only have 5 of those in your tenant, and they can have up to 5,000 users. Standard teams can have up to 10,000 users, but the organizational wide team can have just 5,000 and 5 of them. Okay, so we'll take a look at creating a team here. So we'll jump back into Teams, and so under the Teams tab, or the Teams blade, we're going to go in here and you'll see some of the teams that I've created so far. So we've got a sales and marketing one that's got some different channels in here for like announcements and planning and resources. So we can basically select those and have some conversations, add some files and so on with inside that channel. I've also got one for the help desk as well. And that's got like a frequently asked questions channel and that type of thing. And then here we've got an organizational wide team. So how we go through and create those, there's several ways of creating a team. One, when you create a Microsoft 365 group, or if you create a SharePoint site, you have the option to teamify it, or we can just hit the bottom link here to join or create a team. So any public teams are going to show up that you could just join. You could also join with a code. So if you've been given a code to join a team, this is where you can do it. And I'll show you how to generate those codes later on. And you can also just create a team. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to create a team here. You can see I can create one from scratch. We can create one from a Microsoft 365 group, as I mentioned, or you can select one of these different templates. And the templates take a little while to spin up, but I'll just show you one. So here, if we wanted to create an event, so here I could say, yeah, I'm going to manage event. That's a pretty close match to what I want to do. And you can see what it's going to create for you. So it's going to give me several different channels. Of course, I could remove these if they're not relevant, or add additional ones. And it's also giving me these apps as well inside that particular team. So if I hit start, the next question is, do I want it to be private or public? So I'll make this, in fact, it's going to be an event, so I'll make it public. And maybe we'll create one for Collab Days. Remember, that's in Birmingham on the 28th of January, just in case you want to come. And if I hit create, that will start to create that team. Now, in a moment, this will give me control back and it will allow me to close it, and it can just carry on working in the background because they do take a little while, take a few minutes. But if I just hit close on that, we'll see that it has actually started to spin up that team. It's only got the general tab at the moment, or the general channel, but it will get some more in just a moment. So we'll be able to go through and see that one created. And of course, I could create one from scratch as well. So this is where we can select from scratch, maybe make it a private one this time. And I'm going to create one for research and development. So I can give it a description, which is a good idea, so people know why this team exists. And then you don't sort of get duplicate teams being created. And of course, that one's a lot quicker. And here we can go through and start adding some members, since this is a private one and you need an invitation to join it. So in here I could add demo user 6 and demo user 5 again, and anybody else I want to add, and basically click on to add, and they become members of that team then. And if I wanted to, I could switch them to an owner. You don't have to do that now, you can do that later, but it is a good idea to have somebody else as the owner besides you, of course, in case you're you're off on vacation or something like that. So that's the R&D team created, and notice how it's got the general channel. You can't get rid of the general channel, you can't rename it. Every team has a general channel, and in there you've got the 3 tabs at the top. So posts, so this is where we can have team notifications going on. We've got the files, which this is basically creating a site collection for me, and inside that site collection, it's basically a SharePoint site collection. We've got a document library for the files and things like that. So you'll see that there is a general folder created inside the document library in the site behind this, and you've got that ability to open up that SharePoint site and go to it if you want to. And of course, every other channel that you create in here is going to become another folder for the files. That is, unless you create a private channel, and then that gets its own site collection for sort of security reasons. Okay, so that's how we can go through and create a new team. So we've got a couple there, and let me just refresh, see if anything more interesting is going on with Collab Days Birmingham. Nothing just yet, but that will hopefully get there very, very shortly. Okay, so that was creating a team. And if we want to create a channel, so something that's far more focused, we can go through and do that. So we've got the general channel, but you can create other standard channels or the private channels, as I mentioned. And with those, you can focus in on different areas of the project or different areas of the department. So yeah, really straightforward to create. So we'll jump in and do that. Who creates them can be controlled by the global admin. So they can specify who can create private channels, but you can also do that as well. If that's allowed for members to create private channels, then the team's owner can actually also specify inside the team settings who can create private channels. So if that's something you want to limit as a team's owner, then you can do. And yeah, there is a limit of 30 private channels per team. So bear that in mind. And of course, anybody that is not a member of those private channels, they don't actually know that that channel exists. So they won't be able to access any of the content or the files or anything like that. Okay, so let's jump in and take a look at some of these channels. So under the research and development, what we can do is just hit the more options and add a channel. So as we click onto add a channel in here, we could create one for one of our products. So I'm going to create one called Social Squared, which is a discussion board for Teams and also for SharePoint. So we could add that. And notice that there's a few different settings in here. So again, you've got the description. You can choose here, is it a standard or is it a private channel? So if it's a private channel, I can specify who the users are going to be. For a standard one, it's going to be the same as the team. And we can automatically show this channel in everybody's channel list as well. And you can do that up to 10 times. So there could be sort of 10 channels displayed for everybody. So there's our channel. So general sort of research and development type posts and things like that can happen here in the posts tab. But if we wanted to specifically talk about this product, about Social Squared inside the R&D, then we can go into the Social Squared channel and have those discussions in there. And you'll see that there's channel notifications that you can turn on or turn off. So if we wanted to be notified about all activity, so maybe you're one of the developers on that product or something, so you want to be alerted to anything, that's something you can turn on in there. And for that reason, you may also pin it, so it goes at the top here, so you can see that without sort of scrolling through all of your different teams. It'll be more noticeable should something happen there. And yeah, you can see some of the other things. We've got things like getting links to that channel. We can get an email address for that channel. And also delete the channel if we want to as well. Okay, so really straightforward to create a standard channel. And if we wanted to create a private channel, again, we just say add channel, make it a private channel. And in here, this could be something like the team lead. So we can go through and create that. And this is where we can add the members. So we'll just add demo user 6 and notice that it's only going to show me people that are in the team. So you can't add somebody to a private channel that is not already in the team. Okay, so that should be done. There we go. So we've now got our private channel, which is indicated by the little padlock icon there. So that's just a subset of users that can use that one. Okay, so creating channels is quite straightforward. Now, communicating with different people inside these, you can, of course, @mention other people, which you saw me do. You can also @mention an entire channel. So if we just jump back, for example, into any of these, let's go into the Social Squared one. So if I wanted to create a new conversation and I wanted to @mention demo user 6, I could do that. So I could say, hey, is Social Squared ready yet? Oops. And that message goes out to demo user 6, so they will be alerted to that straight away. But if it doesn't have to be demo user 6, if I want to sort of notify the entire channel, then I can just @mention Social Squared, so the actual name of the channel. and you can do that with the general channel as well. Just put the word general in there. Okay, so there we go. So we can reach out to everybody that's inside that channel, and again, that gets a slightly different icon there, showing it's reaching out to those. But there are also different audiences of people inside some of these channels as well. So you may have developers, you may have salespeople, you may have tech support people, you may have team leaders, and so on. And in a bigger organization than Lightning Tools, you may not actually know who these people are. So how do we know which ones to actually mention? So for that reason, one of the things we can do is actually go through and manage tags. So we can do that here under the ellipsis menu. So here we can manage tags for the team. And if I go in there, I can create a tag. And in here, I could create a tag called developers. So we'll give that a tag name. And then we could say, well, demo user 6 is a developer. So we'll go through and create that. And of course, we could list multiple. And I could add a tag for each product name. So we could have Lightning Conductor. So that's our tag name. And yeah, of course, demo user 6, the only person I get to talk to. There we go. So, and then we could also have another one, maybe for salespeople. So in here, we'll add demo user 5 and demo user 6. Demo user 6 wears multiple hats, obviously. There we go. So, so now we've created those tags, we can just simply mention those. So in here, we can start a new message, and if we want to tag all the salespeople, we don't know them by name, we can just do @sales. So it doesn't have to be the name of the actual channel or the name of the person. That's going to reach out to all of the salespeople. Okay, so there we go. We've reached out to them. Okay, so that's tags. Really easy to create. You can also create them inside the team settings when you're looking at the different members. So you can assign a tag. If you see somebody that maybe is a developer and they don't have that tag, that's something that you can go through and do. So you can tag them at that stage as well when you're listing all of your members and owners. Okay, so moderation is another great little feature for Microsoft Teams. So this is really useful if perhaps you want to have a channel where the posts inside that channel really come from one or a few people. So it could be a great place for sort of company-wide announcements or something like that inside the organizational team that we've created. So if you don't want anybody creating all sorts of posts, so if it's something, for example, that is going to go out to all 5,000 people that work for the company, then we don't want all 5,000 people creating those. Maybe it's just the directors of that organization or the CXOs and so on that have that ability. Or if you're in a classroom environment in a school or a college or university, maybe it's the teacher or the professor that is going to be the moderator. They can post questions and the students can reply. So let's take a look at setting up a moderator on a channel. So again, we're just going to Alt-Tab out into here, and I'm going to go here into the organizational or organization-wide team here, and we'll create a new channel called Company Announcements. Okay, so that's gone through and is created. So it's accessible to everybody in the team, so all 5,000 people. So that's created, and then on there we can come down to Manage Channel, and under Manage Channel is where we can turn on moderation. So as I turn that on, notice here that only the team owners can actually go through and post. So other people can reply. You've got bots that could reply or submit replies, and they require approval. Or you can also have other members reply to channel messages as well. But it's not there for just anybody to go through and create a post. So a great way to restrict that to just the team owners. And of course, you can go through and manage who those owners are if you want to. So that's under the company announcements. So only I get to hit the new conversation, but other people can reply to that. All right, so it's a great little feature to sort of control what gets posted inside some of those channels. Now, you've also got apps in Teams as well, and apps can be added into two different places now inside of Microsoft Teams. They can be added to each channel inside of Teams as a tab, or you can also add them as what's known as a personal app as well, which will appear on the left-hand side of Teams. So these bring additional functionality, different tools. There's some really great ones that you'll find to bring content in from elsewhere. So it might be that you use Microsoft To Do or you use Microsoft Planner, a couple of other products inside the Microsoft 365 suite. So you used to have the Planner app that you could add to a team, but that is now actually called the Tasks app, and it combines To Do with Planner and allows you to access all of your tasks and so on in one place. The new Microsoft 365 lists are a great addition to Microsoft Teams as well. So if you wanted to have a list of issues or something like that, then you can go through and create that inside one of your channels and start listing out all of the issues that maybe you're experiencing. So there's all sorts of different apps that are part of Microsoft 365, but there's also a lot of third-party apps as well that you may find that you can also add to your team. So what we'll do is just have a look at some of those. So we'll just Alt-Tab here back into Teams, and what we'll do is just go into our help desk. So here's our help desk, and we've got the general, or a couple of we've got announcements and FAQ as well. I'm going to work in the general tab, and notice that we've got help desk tasks already as an app. But as we click onto that add app, you'll notice that we can add all of these. So some of these are Microsoft, some are specific. There may be apps that your organization has created as SPFX apps, but they may also come from the store as well. So there's a team store with a whole bunch of apps. So there's all sorts of things in here as you go through that you'll be able to see and perhaps use inside here. So there's things like 15.5, which is a great little tool for managing questions as a third-party one. Lightning Tools actually has some apps that you can add in here as well. And you'll also see some of the, like I said, the useful Microsoft ones in here too. So lists, let's take a look at that. So I want to add lists to my help desk. So we've clicked onto lists, and it just takes a moment to spin up. Okay, so we'll hit save now. And notice it gives me the option to add an existing list or create a new list. So I'm going to go through and create a new list. And again, there's some really good templates here that Microsoft has created that have some conditional formatting built in and that type of thing that we can start to use. And I'm going to use this one here, the issue tracker, which would be a great addition to my help desk team. So this is a preview. So you can see here there's some sample sort of issues that people have created, like the button has the wrong color or hangs after saving the UI, and you've got different priorities, different statuses, who it's assigned to, that type of thing. So very much like a task list, but it's more around issues. So I can decide if that template is a good fit, then I'm going to use it. So I'll hit use template. It's going to be called issue tracker. So we can give it a description as well. We can choose the Lightning Tools blue as a color, and you can also choose an icon as well. So you've got like this little bug, we call those lightning bugs. They're very rare lightning bugs, just so you know. So we can select that and then hit create, and there we go. We've got our new issue tracker inside the help desk. So it's a great addition to that particular channel and to that team. And we can start creating new items in here and filling those out. So I'll just put cannot save or something like this, and the date it was reported was today. We can say the status, it's in progress, it's been worked on, it's high priority, etc. And save that, and we've got our first issue listed inside the issue tracker. And of course, that's something that we can talk about. And here's an example as to why you might want to use that in another channel as well. So we could have a completely different instance of that under social squared. So if there's any social squared lightning bugs that come up, then we could list those inside the issue tracker, and the focus would be just on social squared and not general issues. And like I said, another good one to add is tasks. This actually failed for me earlier on when I tried to add it, so I'm just going to try one more time, but it is great. I don't know why it decided to fail on me today. So here we've got tasks as the name, and I can just save that. Looks like it's working this time around. There we go. So it's actually using Planner, but we've also got To Do in here as well. So it's a sort of combination of Microsoft To Do and also Tasks by Planner that you've got in there. So you can go through and add new buckets. So again, a great addition to a help desk, because what we could do is have different stages of development going on here, or different stages of when a bug is being fixed, and that task can be moved along to sort of in development and then testing and then released and so on with inside that particular team. So really great for sort of building out some of these sort of solutions in there. So yeah, there's a couple of different ones. There's too many to go through all of them, but yeah, you hopefully be able to find some useful apps that you can add in there. You can add just browsers, you can add Excel documents, SharePoint pages, as you can see, and all sorts of things. And then that brings us also to personal apps. So you'll notice over on the left here is a more added apps. So these are known as personal apps, and the personal apps are not tied to a team or to a specific channel, but tied to a person. So so in there, yeah, you've got all sorts of different ones that you can add. Again, so if it's a sort of organization-wide or tenant-wide type app that you want to add, you can add one in there. And the most obvious one to show you is communities, which is like Yammer. So we can go through and add communities in here. And yeah, just give that a moment. And so yeah, communities or Yammer can then be accessed over here on the left, and you've always got that to hand. And some of our apps are also in here as well. So you'll find Social Squared is one of them. So you can have like a discussion board across your organization in Microsoft Teams. Okay, so some great apps in there to check out. Now, managing teams. So if we just jump into some of the different settings in here. So the reasons for managing teams, you may want to add some members, you may want to add owners. Like I mentioned, that's a good idea. And also you can control what you can do with app mentions, what you can do with the different types of GIFs and what apps are made available to different people and that type of thing. So once more, we're just going to Alt Tab here into Teams, and we'll look at managing those. So again, if we just click onto the ellipsis here, we can go into Manage Team, and in here you can see we've got some different members and we've got our owners. So here's where you can see the tags. So if I saw that somebody should have a different tag, then I could tag them. So if I wanted to make this person also a developer, that's what I was referring to earlier on. So we can do that as a member. And we can also promote people to owners as well. So if we wanted to make them an owner, they would then become an owner. And of course, you can search and you can add additional members and that type of thing too. There's pending requests. So if somebody's requested to join your team, then this is where you can come in and approve them. The different channels. So again, you can add new channels from in here if you want to, or you can also get to your channel settings through there. And then we've got the team settings, so the team-wide settings. One of the things you can do is actually create a team picture, so you don't just get the initials for the name of the team, so you can add a picture that is representative of your team name. We have member permissions, so you can actually control here what a member can do with inside your team. So as we mentioned earlier on, if you don't want them to actually be able to create private channels, that's something you can take away from your members. So you have to be an owner in order to create a private channel. If you don't want them creating any channels at all, you can take that right away from them, and so on. So you can police all of these things. You can stop them creating apps, or you can stop them from adding and removing apps. And likewise with tabs, deleting messages and things like that. That's a good one. So if somebody puts something, they can't delete it. There we go. So yeah, lots of different permissions there that you can go through and assign. And there's also similar permissions for guest users as well. So you can go through and add guest permissions. App mentions. So what happens if you app mention somebody? So can we app mention the team or just the individuals? So that's controls in there that you can use. And then we've also got that code. So this is where you can hit generate and get a code. And that's a great way of getting people to join your team. You've got a new starter inside your organization. You can say, yeah, here's a code for the team that you need to join. So when they hit the create a team, they can drop that code in here and join the team. So yeah, generating that that code is really straightforward. So just bear with me whilst I jump back in. All right, so team code, the fun stuff. So yeah, whether you want to allow people to use stickers and memes, can they upload custom memes? And you've also got the strict Giphies or moderate Giphies, which you can specify as well, and also who can go through and create tags. That can also be just owners or owners and members that create those. So some great settings in there that allow you to control all of that. There's some analytics and reporting that you've got as well, so you can see how successful your team is being, and like I said, the different apps that are available, so you can add or remove those from here too. Okay, so some great little features there inside the team management settings. And of course, one of the things you've probably used Teams for a lot, if it wasn't all of that, is meetings and calls. So if you want to use meetings and calls, that's the next thing. So here you've got the calendar underneath Teams, so that will show you what's going on inside your calendar. That will be synced to your Outlook calendar as well. But if I wanted to create a meeting, then we can just click into that calendar, and this is where we can also add guest users as well to a meeting if we want to. Now, if you want to create a meeting with inside your team, then that's also something you can do. So we can just go to, like the general tab under Club Days Birmingham, and at the top here we've got a meet. So we've got a meet now, or also a schedule meeting that we can do, and that becomes part of the within inside the scope of the channel then, so that can be created from there. So yeah, that's how you can create a meeting, and of course invite the people to that meeting. The calls also gives you the ability to just call them, so you can if depending on your settings and if you've got the phone capabilities, you can add just standard telephone calls in here, or you can also add speed dials, which will be other members of your team. So in here we can choose demo user 5, for example, add that user. And then if ever I want to have a conversation with demo user 5, I can just pick up the phone using the speed dial, or do a video call, enter a chat, that type of thing. So really straightforward to do that, and you can see whether they're online or not in a call, or if they've changed their status here to do not disturb or something like that. All of that will be visible here, so you can know when's a good time to call that person. Okay, so hopefully that's given you a sort of flavor for the sort of things that you can do with inside of Teams, and giving you an idea of, if you are using Teams already, how maybe you can improve your usage of Teams using some of these different features. Of course, there's a lot more to know about Teams, but that will hopefully get you started and show you some of these little tips and tricks. But if there's any questions, like I say, you can put the question in the chat window. So I'm just looking at the chat window at the moment. I don't see any. Or if you would like to, you can reach out to me afterwards. So there's my email address, so brett@lightningtech.com or brett@lightningtools.com, so you can reach out there, and of course our website addresses as well.
Hey, Brett.
Hey, yes.
Hi. Yeah, actually, Jen had a question. She was wondering if she can do all of this on her phone.
Excellent. Yeah, great. So actually everything that we've just been doing is in the browser, but there's also a desktop app. So you can install the Teams desktop, or you can also install the Teams app on your phone. So yeah, you get that same rich experience, exactly the same capabilities through your phone. So so that's really useful to do if you want to just do all that sort of thing from your mobile, and it's really responsive. Even a lot of the the SPFX apps that you get as tabs, they'll also be responsive as well. So work great on a small screen.
Great, thanks. And George was wondering how he might go about adding somebody to a team that's not in his company.
Yep, so you can add guest users. So that's something that you could do if you wanted to add them as a meeting guest. So you can invite them to a meeting by just putting in their email address, or you can also add a guest user as well via the email. Yep, you could add them to a team that way. So you can have
Great,
internal and external users. One of the things when
thanks.
you are adding them via an email address, if somebody's given you like a Gmail account or it's obscure or something, you can actually after adding them, you can right click that and rename it as well to their first name and last name, so you actually know who you're having a conversation with. Otherwise, sometimes you're like, what is this email address? Who is this person that I'm responding to?
That's good to know.
Yeah. Great. Well, I don't see any other questions. So thank you very much, everybody, for attending. I hope you found that useful. If you didn't get a chance to attend the other webinars, then please go to lightningtools.com or enlightningtech.com, and you'll see those under the webinars tab, and you'll be able to play some of those previous webinars back as well. But otherwise, have a fantastic Christmas, and I wish you a great new year in 2021, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Bye.